Hey there, welcome back to The Magic in the Music. I'm Jen. You know, something very special happened this week in our DVC universe. A brand new DVC resort went on sale, and that's really pretty exciting stuff. And while it is fun to see more details about this brand new DVC resort, one that many existing DVC members are looking forward to visiting. I know I am one of those people. We also got a glimpse of the good and the not so good financial facts, rules, and policies about that resort. And today we're going to take a deep dive. And yes, there will be a lot of math involved, but don't worry, you don't have to do it because I'm going to do it for you. Here we go. Is the new Disneyland Hotel DVC Tower worth it? Before we get started, I want to take a moment to give a big shout out to longtime patron Renee over on Patreon. Renee, thank you. And a shout out to brand new patron Kelsey M. We see you. Thank you so much for joining our community and helping to support what we do here on The Magic in the Music. If you'd like to check out our community on Patreon, look for our Patreon link in the description below. Just hit that little more button if you are on a device and you'll be able to find all of the links that I discuss. So for this video today, I'm going to be talking about the pricing and the incentives and offers for existing DVC members. These are people who are already members of Disney Vacation Club. And by the way, if you're like, what is Disney Vacation Club? Check out this playlist up here. This is where you're going to want to look if you want to learn more about DVC. This is not a DVC video for someone who doesn't know what DVC is. This is a little bit more in the weeds. But if you're an existing DVC member or you're knowledgeable about DVC, let's get going. Okay, we're going to start with some of the bad news. Some of the bad news, not really a surprise to us, but this resort will have resale restrictions just like Riviera. That means that if you buy a contract there, then you sell it on the resale market, the new buyer can only use those points at villas at Disneyland Hotel and no other DVC property. So if you're the original buyer of the contract, why would this even matter to you? Because you can use your points if you bought them direct from Disney, which right now they're all direct from Disney because it's brand new. Why would it matter to you? Well, because the value of those contracts on the resale market have historically been lower. We saw that with Riviera. That's where this new rule started. And, Riviera has certainly had value. It hasn't been worthless, but it hasn't retained its value quite as well as the unrestricted points, the ones that you can just use at all the other resorts. So that's something that, DVC is implementing moving forward. I think it's a very unpopular policy and people are not happy about it, but seems to be here to stay. So there's not a lot we can really do about it. Either just decide you're going to put up with it or not buy the new resorts. Okay, and the other bad news, and this was probably the one that shocked people the most, it is that there's going to be a transient occupancy tax. This is much like at Aulani, where you have a tax bill to pay at the end of your stay. But unlike Aulani, this tax is much higher. It may just be a deal breaker for many prospective buyers. I know I was kind of looking closely at Disneyland Hotel as well because, we live on the West Coast and this is a lot closer for us to get to than Disney World. But man, that transient occupancy tax, it's pretty high. So I'll be showing you some more details around that and you'll see what I mean in a few minutes here. Okay, let's focus on some more positive things. The good. Well, Villas at Disneyland Hotel is a beautiful resort. It has really nice looking rooms. They have very practical layouts. I especially love the extra bathroom in the 1 and 2 bedroom units. That was really smart move. It has a great location and the initial cost is actually not as high as many had predicted. So it came in almost exactly what I had predicted. I'd said $227 per point and it came in at $230 per point. Not bad. I mean, if I was on Price is Right, that would have been a pretty good bid. Now that we have all the details of the purchase price with incentives for current DVC members, let's take a deeper look and see if it's truly worth it. Okay, so here we have the Villas at Disneyland Hotel savings. This is the promotional offer, and this is for existing members good through May 29th, 2023. And you can see here that when you start to have some of these incentives coming at the 125 point mark and above, so you can start to get a $4 per vacation point price break as you start to go up from there. The next break is at 150. You start to get $20 per point off. And then at 175, you get 21, 200, you get 22, and 250, you get 23. So the obvious thing here is the one that really stands out, of course, is the leap from 4 up to 20. So that's when you get to 150 points. So for sure, 150 points is the magical number for these incentives. And it makes sense because you have to own at least 150 direct points in order to have. Now, they're pushing that really hard, but the thing is that if you're already a member, you're most likely already a Blue Card member, but whatever. It is what it is. So this is the incentive, and the obvious deal here is at that 150 point mark. We also learned the initial maintenance fees. So the starting maintenance fees are going to be $9.06 per point. That is fairly high for maintenance fees. However, historically, at least in recent history, when Riviera opened, the maintenance fees actually remained pretty static for the first few years. And so a lot of the other resorts kind of moved up to meet them. So I don't think that's really too alarming right in the beginning. I'm not too worried about the maintenance fees. I think actually one year with Riviera, it went down like a fraction of a cent or something. So even if it is a little bit on the high side, I don't expect it to continue to climb like the other resorts do continue to climb. And I'm going to link a really interesting video that shows how the maintenance fees have changed over time relative to each other and which ones were the highest and lowest. So I'm going to go ahead and link that video right up here so that you can check that one out as well. All right, and now for the really unfun one, the transient occupancy tax, also known as TOT. Hey, not nearly as much fun as the other TOT, Tower of Terror. That is a lot more fun than this one, but this one's just as scary, maybe even more so. So this is the 2023 transient occupancy tax. We have a chart here, and they've kind of done it in a way where they calculated it for you. So I actually find it easier to calculate per point, but this chart is supposed to kind of show you, for each stay. I feel like it's a little bit overly complex. The transient occupancy tax for 2023 is going to be $273 per point. Now, there's not going to be a lot of time in 2023 because this resort is opening in late September. But moving forward into 2024, that's going to move up to $2.82 per point that is going to be added on for every single point that is used at this resort. Now, some people have pointed out that one of the perks or advantages of having this paid at the time of the stay, unlike Grand Californian, where it's just kind of baked into the maintenance fees and dues, is that, if you end up using these points at a different DVC resort, you don't pay that tax unless you are using this resort. So, it really is a true use tax, but it means that it's really, really expensive to stay at this resort. And it also means that if I took my Riviera points or Polynesian points or something else, and I went and stayed over there, I would also be paying this tax. So it's something that's going to actually apply to more than just the owners at the Villas at Disneyland Hotel. That TOT tax is just going to keep coming back. Another cost that you would need to factor if you were purchasing is closing costs. So I'm going to include that with our calculation that I'm going to walk you through right now. So let's do a side-by-side comparison of purchasing at the Villas at Disneyland Hotel versus paying for a cash booking at the Disneyland Hotel on the hotel side. I think that's probably the most likely scenario that most DVC members are going to be in, where they might have considered booking at Disneyland Hotel, and now they are considering whether they want to purchase points to use here instead. So let's take a look at that. For our purposes, we'll compare a deluxe studio with a preferred view. That would be the preferred view booking category. We'll be comparing that to a hotel room with a deluxe view, and that would be pool facing. So those should be pretty similar views. First, we're going to determine the real cost of the DVC stay. If we purchase 150 points at the Villas at Disneyland Hotel at the current DVC member initial release pricing, and remember, this is usually the lowest pricing that you will ever see for the resort, for 150 points, that would be $230 per point. It would be a total of $34,500. But hold on, remember, 150 points is where you got that really great break with this incentive. So you would subtract $20 per point for that incentive, bringing the total cost down to $31,500. The closing costs for 150 points would be $378, so we'll add that as well. Now this number would be slightly higher if you were financing, but for our example, we'll assume that you are not financing. The total cost then for the contract would be $31,878. Next, take the total cost and divide it by the total number of points on the life of the contract. In this case, because it's brand new, it would be 150 points times 50 years, for a total of 7,500 points. Now divide the total cost of $31,878 by the total points, 7,500, and you'll get a cost of $4.25 per point. Next, add the current dues at $9.06 per point to get a total of $13.31 per point. Now, unfortunately, we need to add in that transient occupancy tax of $2.73 per point for a total of $16.04 per point. This tax, like I said, is going to go up another 9 cents in 2024, so this is something that will gradually increase over time. But for this example, we're just going to start with the 2023 cost. Now, you could choose to calculate that separately because it is a cost that is paid at the time of the stay rather than in advance, like the purchase of the contract. But I think for comparison purposes, we really, to get apples to apples comparison, you just have to kind of put it all together so that you can look at the numbers together. And so that's what I'm going to do here. Now let's take this per point cost and we're going to apply it to a DVC reservation. Let's look at a 2-night stay in a Preferred View studio on a weekend in mid-October. It would be a total of 52 points. Our per point cost is $16.04 times 52 points equals $834.08 for a Friday and Saturday night stay. Remember that this is including the transient occupancy tax, which would actually be billed at the time of your stay. Now let's look at the same stay in a Disneyland Hotel Deluxe View hotel room, which also sleeps up to 5. You should note that the DVC studio at this resort only sleeps 4. So that is an advantage that the hotel room has over the DVC studio. Here, the cost would be a staggering $1,659.06. Now, I do have to acknowledge that this is a full price rate, and people often get other discounts, such as pass holder discounts, other things like that. So the price may come down quite a bit. But the DVC accommodation represents a roughly 50% savings over the hotel room. So even if you had some kind of discount that brought that down by 20 or 30%, you are still going to see significant savings by booking the DVC room. Of course, that's not even factoring in that the DVC building offers an option of 1, 2, or 3 bedrooms, as well as the Duo studios, which are less expensive than the hotel room. There are also standard view options, which are typically harder to book, which is why I showed the preferred view option for both the hotel and the DVC side. So the savings are significant. On the other hand, if you're perfectly happy staying off property at a non-Disney or a Good Neighbor hotel, you can save a significant amount of money on your next Disneyland trip. It really comes down to what kind of experience you want and whether you're looking for full immersion, theming, that great Disney service, all of that special feeling of being on property. Or if sticking to the budget is more important to you and those things are less important to you, that's going to impact your decision. Some people don't even really like being in the Disney bubble. It's a little bit too much for them. It's also a matter of style. So for me, the new Disneyland Tower rooms are more modern and stylish than the Disneyland hotel rooms. I know that I would be more comfortable in the newer DVC rooms. So another factor to consider here is financing. If you finance the DVC purchase, the interest paid is definitely going to cut into the savings that you would see. Okay, but I'm not done. You thought I was done. I'm not done. There is another way to reduce the overall cost of your new Disneyland Tower purchase, and I think this one's pretty clever. It is by using the Spring Magical Beginnings offer. With this program, new DVC purchases of 150 points and above are eligible to have the first year's points basically rented back to Disney at a rate of $22 per point. So the buyer would receive a rebate check 4 weeks after closing for that amount. This could further reduce the overall cost of the contract, but it also leaves the buyer with no points to use for the first year. So it is certainly a trade-off. Let's run the numbers again using this offer. So if we rented that first year's points to Disney, and it does have to be the full allocation of points on the contract, unfortunately, I know, I asked my guide, it would be 150 points times $22 per point for a total of $3,300 that you would be receiving back as a rebate. Not bad. But in our calculation, we would also have to reduce the total number of points by 150 because you will have already given away 150 of those points. So instead of 7,500 points, you would get 7,350 total points on your contract. So let's plug those numbers into the equation that we used before. So now you would get to subtract $3,300 from the cost of the contract for a total cost of $28,578. That's sounding better. Now divide that by the remaining 7,350 points for a per point base cost of $3.89 per point. Now add the other costs from before. Annual dues of $906 per point, which brings it to $12.95 per point. And then if you add the transient occupancy tax as well, you would have a total cost of $15.68 per point. Our total without using the Magical Beginnings offer was $16.04 per point, so this is certainly a better deal. If we translate that into an actual reservation, just like before, the Preferred View Studio Villa reservation that would have been $834.08 would now be $815.36. So there is a savings, but it's not a huge difference on an individual stay basis. And of course, if you were booking more expensive rooms, meaning using more points, you would see more significant savings. So that is a pretty appealing offer, I must admit. And if you were thinking about purchasing and you were kind of on the fence, that is one that really sweetens the deal a lot for you. So who should buy the villas at Disneyland Tower? Well, people who like to stay in the Disneyland Hotel, or they like to stay on site and they value staying in the Disney bubble while they're at Disneyland. People who value being on site and having a larger accommodation with a kitchen and a washer or dryer. This may be families with special dietary considerations or people with young children who might need to do laundry more frequently, or multi-generational groups who like to stay in a more communal setting and like to gather together with a living room type of space. Even non-family groups might actually like having a communal space together as well. Another group of people who should consider this resort are people who love being close to Trader Sam's. We love being close to Trader Sam's. I'm just being honest. Isn't this a Trader Sam's resort? I mean, they built this like to be by Trader Sam's, right? Like that was the whole point, right? I mean, that's why I'm interested in it. Another group of people who might want to consider this resort are people who love the community feeling of staying at a DVC resort, but also like the Disneyland Hotel. So viewers, are you considering making a purchase at VDH? Have you already made this your home resort? I know I've been seeing a lot of celebratory posts on Facebook groups recently. If you don't plan on buying there, what would it take for you to change your mind? Are you on the fence? Are you struggling with a decision? Are you needing to talk it through like we just did? Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this new resort. Also, if you're on a mobile device or a PC, click or tap more to see the full video description where you can find our recommended business links. Using these links to visit businesses may give us a commission, which is extremely helpful to keep us bringing you content. So visit our affiliate businesses today so we can keep making videos for you. You can also find us on Patreon, where we provide additional features, posts, videos, and more, or support us by visiting themagicinthemusic.com to check out our shop. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye.